Welcome to the Getting High on Leadership series featuring Paul Karasik. Paul is one of America's top management consultants helping leaders succeed. He is the author of 9 books, including Sweet Persuasion and Brilliant Thoughts and Provocative Questions. His insights appear regularly in major publications, and he is one of the most sought-after executive coaches. Paul founded the American Seminar Leaders Association and the Psychedelic Institute of Los Angeles. He is a popular speaker at national conferences and has been on stages across all 50 states and internationally. Paul's work addresses the question, how can we transform conflict in business into collaboration? With decades of experience in management, leadership, and psychedelics, he brings a unique perspective on personal and societal growth. In this series, we'll be discussing his latest book, Getting High on Leadership, The Leader's Guide to Higher Consciousness. We'll be exploring the concepts, techniques, and mindset required to revolutionize leadership. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the series. My name is Sanchez, your host, and we are joined by the author of Getting High on Leadership, Paul Karasik. We are just closing down part 3 of the book with the final few sections here, and today's section is called What Happens After That?, which is a question you may be wondering as we get towards the end of this book. And a question that Paul addresses here with a little story, again, using the power of narrative to kind of drive those. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. And today we are going to explore it a little further, talk about some of the abstract pieces of it and takeaway points. Paul, where can we begin with this one? I think this was definitely one of my most memorable chapters from the first read through as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's as I mentioned to you offline, this is the most popular story in the book, and most of my clients and the folks I work with are pretty high-level executives, from presidents to just senior executives at companies, and this is the chapter that resonates the most with them.
It has a lot of punch, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's a story of the simple life versus the complicated life, and the beauty of the simple life, and and it goes back to that old the last chapter, which is what is success, in the sense, and it kind of feeds off that. Again, this section 3 is about integration, and how do we bring the insights into the daily life, which are more challenging, which are, we get triggered, and so on and so forth. And sometimes I think it's impossible to do it, and sometimes I think it's really easy to do it. But it's a matter of where we put our attention. And this story is about a Mexican fisherman and a tourist, and really at the core of the story is where the two are putting their attention, and what their values are. Like, I meet so many people over the years. Executives say, like, "Oh, I'm really a family person." And then I look at their schedule and they're on the road 200 days a year. And it's like,
Yeah.
Like I hear you saying you're really a family person, but that's a lot of days on the road. You're in 3 million mile clubs in this thing. And they think, I think, in their minds that they are really a great family person.
And that the time that they're spending is like justified for that family in some way. Right?
That's right. That's a good point. That they'll say that's why they do it, to earn a living. But like, I know executives with 3 houses and getting another one. And I asked one of my friends, he's a big executive, he bought this big house. I said, how many? And I visited. It was in Rhode Island, and I said, how many rooms does it have? And he goes, I don't know. He said, I know we have like 8 bathrooms, but he knew how many bathrooms were in the house, but he didn't know how many rooms were in the house. And it's that kind of a consciousness, that There's never enough. You got to keep growing. You know, there's nothing wrong with the growth, but it's the delusion that you think that that's what's going to make you happy. That's what's wrong with the growth. There's nothing wrong with making a lot of money. There's nothing wrong with having a beautiful house and a great car, and that's everybody deserves the abundant life. That's not what this chapter's about. The chapter's about is the delusion that that's life, and
that's the primary focus.
That's the primary focus. This doing, not being enough, and having to be more, have more, do more to justify our existence. And it's just a big treadmill of never ending. It's like that carrot on a string where you never quite get the carrot
in front of you.
It's right there, and you keep going for it, and you never get it. And that's why I find executives the easiest people to really understand, because so many of them, that's been their experience of never having enough, never being satisfied, no matter what it is.
In some ways, that kind of got them into this position because they were racing and pushing and
oh yeah, they think it
grinding.
Works. Yeah, they
So there's almost this like weird, why would you strike at the foundations of what got me here, right?
Yeah, they think it's and again, I'm not railing against hard work, but there's a point. I was with an executive the other day, and he said, "Well, when do you want to call?" I said, "Well, we'll call in the morning, like early is fine." And he said, "I'm in the office at 5 a.m."
Probably not that early, right?
No, I'm like, no, I love what I do, and I'm a very busy guy, but not at 5 a.m. Like maybe if I got to do a call to London or something, but otherwise, no.
Yeah.
No. And it's just like, that's a drive, that's a need that's pushing, and you can't be happy when you're in that I don't have enough type of a mode. The fisherman, the Mexican fisherman in this story, he had enough. He had enough. It reminds me of a similar story, but a true story. I was with a friend of mine, and we both had two. Well, he had a son. I have two daughters, and we had our kid. We spent the day together up in Malibu, and I said, "Well, we were in the hills. I said, let's go to the beach. I think the kids will like that." And so there's a little state park in Malibu where you can park and little areas and so on. And he said to me, because the two of us are on the fast track, both of us, got to make our way. We got two young children. We got to take care, be the breadwinner, grow the business. That's very common, when you have children. You get into
digging in. Right.
Digging in, yeah. So we're just digging in, like brainstorming new businesses, and how we expand this and all this kind of stuff. And so we go to the beach, and the kids are at the beach, and they're walking around, and we start walking around, and there's little camping areas where there's like a picnic bench. And so we walk past this area, and there's a big picnic bench, and there's a Mexican family, and they have their tortillas, their beans, their rice, and you could see it's just one big family, the children, the grandchildren.
Feast has been laid. Everyone's ready, huh?
And the whole feast maybe cost $50, and
yeah, right.
It's rice. It's rice
dining together,
tortilla, and he turned to me and he said, my friend turned to me and I said, look, look, they have it all right there. They've got it all. They've got the family there. Mm-hmm. They've got the food they love. They've got they've got the sun and the sky and the beach, and they've got the whole thing. We're busy looking and searching and being not enough, and they're just in their enoughness with And, and he was saying, without a lot of, because we were talking about money and all this kind of stuff, it wasn't about money. It was about their values of family and connection. And, the importance of all that, that's what was so special, and more, and them being, they get it. And that's the point of the story, that
They had their priorities right.
yeah, they had
Yes.
they had their priorities right. And so in both cases, that's why I think people respond, especially the executives that read the book. They all respond to this story because they know at some point
It resonates.
it resonates.
Yeah.
They know they've sacrificed their higher values for just the money, the paycheck, the recognition, the power, whatever it is. They know that. They know they don't have to be told that.
Right. Right. This chapter is asking everyone to confront that and address it now, right? Because this is the only time to address that. If you wait too long, you're going to be in that same boat.
Yeah, I mean, you are. It's going to be, your life's going to be full of regrets that you didn't spend more time with the family. You didn't go to the beach and just have a simple dinner, and time together. That's you can't. That's so precious. To not be there
Right.
for that time. I don't think anybody lays on their dying bed saying, I should have spent less time with my family and more time doing business deals. Like
No, probably very rare for that one,
I
for
don't
that thought to come through.
I don't see it happening. Yeah, I don't see that. I think it's more the other. Like, wow, I should have spent more time with stuff that really matters. I should have, instead of, well, I've got to make the money. And I have so many friends that are like that. And
I know this can be a really hard topic for that business mind, that entrepreneurial, like all day, every day, workaholic mindset that like capitalism and society has
yeah,
kind of forced upon us or ushered into existence. And we're all kind of struggling with that, I know. And I think it can be really difficult to look at taking the foot off the gas, but realizing like for the longevity of the journey or for your sanity or well-being, that's where the importance of these kinds of
yeah,
concepts starts to come in.
exactly. Quality of life.
Yeah, no,
You said it nicely.
well put there, Paul. And quality of life indeed. Folks, for all of you listening and watching, hope that you can take away some new perspectives on how to measure success, and I hope that you're looking at your life and your own success a little differently here after this conversation. Feel free to join us here from the very beginning of the series. Always, you're welcome to pick and choose any others that call you or catch your interest. You can send Paul any questions you have, any experiences you have that may mirror or follow along with anything we've been discussing. And as always, you can get a link down below for a book of your own. We'll see you on the next one, folks. Thank you. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Getting High on Leadership series. If you have any questions, you can comment below or send them in via email to paul@paulkarasik.com. Follow him on Instagram at PK_the conversation. Find out more at wholesalerinstitute.com and psychedelic-awakening.com. The Getting High on Leadership series is produced by Rob Sanchez and Apartment 113, which can be found at apartment113.com and followed on Instagram at APT_113.